Super. Okay. So what we are going to do now is we are going to share a template with you. Okay. I'm going to hand you over in a minute to Anna. So we're both going to chat to you at the same time. I am going to ask Anna some questions as she goes along. But basically, we're going to take you through a template for a profit and loss that has been adapted and suited to our specific industry. As we are working through the line items, because we're going to go item by item, Anna's going to tell us, number one, where do you get the information from for that line item? Because that's important, okay? Because remember now, some of the P&Ls that you pull from your software don't give as much detail as the P&L that we're about to show you, okay? So you would take the template we are going to show you, and you're going to need to go and get numbers and figures from different places, okay? So Anna will tell us where we found that information from. We're also going to chat a little bit about benchmark percentage numbers. So for example, when Anna gets to cost of sales retail, and she might give us a specific percentage, I would like to hear from all of you if that is the percentage that you're working with, or if your specific business has a completely different percentage in mind, okay? Because that's quite interesting for us to hear, because we really are benchmarking against general industry standards of what a healthy profit and loss should look like. Okay, so Anna, hello. You're still muted.
Hello.
There we go. Okie doke. So, Anna, do you want to tell just everybody quickly just a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you're about to do as well, because that's quite interesting.
Yes, so I'm Anna. So I work with Marisa in the Spa Consultants business. We've been working together 14 years now. So I come from a strong operational spa background before I joined Marisa. And yeah, we do it with the full turnkey. So everything from the design, setup, operations of the spas. And I really do enjoy numbers. I'm not number trained, so I'm a little bit nervous of the accounting type of brains on this. But it is something that I enjoy to do. And what was the other question, Marisa? Why?
No, and what you're about, and also what you're about to do. So, like, okay, what's your next chapter?
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, so I'm busy preparing to go to the UK. So we're in the process of organizing our visas. And we are going to take the spa consultants to Europe and Asia and wherever we go. So we're really busy doing a project in India, which we are really excited about, and hopefully we can share the details soon on. And yeah, so that's basically in a nutshell.
Danielle sounds excited, and Laura is saying yay because you're going to her land. Nice.
Different chapter.
Nice. Okay, so I just want to reiterate something that Anna said earlier. Anna said that she is not a numbers qualified person, okay? However, I want to tell you something that is important. You do not need to be a numbers qualified person or an accountant to know how to, one, read a profit and loss, and two, populate a profit and loss. Because as nervous as Anna says that she is, I want to tell you all that we have sat with many accountants and financial managers of big hotel groups with our profit and loss, and they are fascinated by it. In fact, they turn around and they say from now on, they want their spas to use our profit and loss, and they'll use their own for the rest of their businesses. So Anna, there's nothing to be afraid of. If you know numbers and you're willing to explore them and understand them, then we're A for a way, right? Okay, so Anna, why do you think that all spa managers and owners should forecast a profit and loss, and B, fill it in after the forecast, because some of them forecast, but then they don't go back and fill it in.
I think first of all, it's important to forecast so you can get an idea of what your business goals are. Without a forecast, you wouldn't know how to set your targets for your individual therapist, for example. You wouldn't know what your overhead expenses are, and you wouldn't know really how to drive your business. So I'm going to show you, so it's easier to explain when I start doing it, but even to work out something as simple as your therapist's average docket. How many clients you need to have in, how many therapists you need to have in as well, to be able to get correct, accurate information in order to operate your business. It's important to fill it in so that you can actually see, like somebody else said in the chat, your forecast versus your budget to see if you're tracking correctly. So basically, if you've under or over forecast. Otherwise, you could land yourself in a very bad cash flow position.
Okay. And then also another question, and I'm going to ask it because we did this exercise not so long ago. What about using a P&L to plan for when you want to make a big purchase? Like if you want to buy a laser, or, I mean, can a P&L forecast help you with that?
Yes, definitely, because you can see then see which are your stronger months, especially if you've got some history where you can save money to put away for those machines, and if you actually have the affordability to do so. So yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay, so that sounds good. Okay, so there's so many reasons, right, why we should be working with a P&L. Okay, so let's go.
Sorry, another thing that I didn't mention is where so many places can get caught out is in things like VAT and provisional tax. Because if you're tracking and you're having a really good profitability and you think that the money is there, then you get hit with a 28% provisional tax bill, and you haven't saved the money, for example, or you plan to use it for a machine, it can give you a bit of a nasty fright.
Okay, sure. That is very, very important. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so Anna, take us to the screen. And then I just want to tell everybody, while Anna's busy sharing screen, if there's any questions, we really would like this to be quite interactive. So if you're not 100% sure where Anna's getting something from or what she means, please either feel free to go into the chat box, I am watching it, or unmute and ask away. Okay. Other than that, Anna's just going to start talking, and if I've got a question or something that I feel is relevant, I'll ask her. Okay, let's go.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so this is our spreadsheet. So if I had to look at it in a nutshell, and sorry, my toolbar is blocking the top of my screen. Let me see if I can move it. Sorry. Now with my nerves, I'm not sure where everything is.
I'm glad you know what you're doing. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Right. Okay, so this is what it looks like in a nutshell. So the best way to print this out is actually in A3 when you're looking at it, because it's such a big sheet to look at it this small. So so you can see what it looks like at the top. So we're going to fill it in from month 1 all the way across to month 12. Okay, it's going to go all the way down, but you're only going to see a small section of it because I need to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Right. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is set our retail percentage targets. So this is really important for you to establish your target revenue versus services for your staff. Sorry, I can't see anybody now. There you go. So, for example, when we consult with spas, we like to strive to push the goals for 40% retail to 60% services. But when we start operations, especially when we go into a pure operations contract, sometimes we start as low as 25%, depending on what they were achieving previously. But we like to quickly move up to a 30%. Okay, so that is where I have got that target from.
Wow. Sorry, Anna, do you see what Laura's saying? Laura's saying,
I can't see, sorry.
Okay, I'll tell you. I've asked the question, what is your business's current retail percentage targets? And Laura said the UK's average is 30%. 15%.
Wow.
Interesting. I think once Anna gets there, that's going to change. But anyway, anybody else want to share? Okay, Karen is saying 30%. Okay, Karen, we like your language. Anybody else want to share their actual Danae, 30%? Good. Okay. So what are your percentage targets of your business? I'd be interested to hear Rob from the US. What is yours? And Ronald, do you have a retail percentage? Just interested to hear, you know, from different parts of the world. And Lee, yours, if you have one. Ronald is saying 5 to 10%. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, quite low, hey?
Yeah, very
Hotel
low.
spa. So Fran is saying hotel spa, his is 10%. Okay. Ronald is head of Mangwanani, Lanil. Head of the Mangwanani group in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, so we say 30 push to 40, but some of the therapists that we work with can hit 45 to just over 50%.
Correct.
So their conversion rate, so we try to strive to push the unit number wise, to give an example, between 1 to 2 units per body treatment and 3 to 4 units per skincare treatment.
Okay, so Lanil is saying she thinks the US is 30%. Rob says the average is very low, around 10 to 12% retail to services. Spas average 25%. Okay. All right. So Lee says she's not sure. I'm going to look straight after. Well, Lee, that's the beauty of being on this call today, is that if you're not sure of something, that's what you've got a little bit of a to-do list. Okay. So yes, so going back to what Anna said, I just want to reiterate, we are very focused as the spa consultants. If we join a business and they're on 10%, we become completely dogmatic and focused on getting them to 20 to 30%. If we join a business and they're on 30, again, we get totally focused and we look at ways that how can we get it from 30 to 40 or 40 to 50. And it sounds impossible, but I mean, Anna, we've been blown away a few times, hey, by many therapists showing us on a KPI 50%, 60% sometimes. So it really, really is possible. Okay. So Samantha says she's on 11 to 13% monthly. Okay. So Sam, we're going to strive to get you to 20%, hey, as soon as possible. Okay. So off you go. Sorry, Anna. I just wanted to get a clock estimation from everybody.
No, it's interesting. Thank you. Okay, so the loan amount here is if you've got a loan for your salon or spa that you've taken, and the amount of your repayment is, you would fill it in there. So Marisa, do you have a loan on your spa?
No, Anna, I'm very lucky. I work in a hotel spa and there's no loan.
Okay, great. So then you've got no interest, right? So then there's no interest. So here, obviously, if you know your interest rates, etc., we can populate it, but we don't need to worry. Terms of the loan is not relevant here. And setup fees, because you already have salons and spas and you already are set up, Marisa, I think we'll just put this one as 0 as well. What is your rental amount?
My rental is 25,000.
Okay, right. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up your basic structure so we can work out your revenue. So the first thing we need to look at is how many therapy stations you have. So if you've got a treatment room with 2 beds, 2 stations. If you've got a manicure lounge with 4 stations, 4 stations there, 2 pedicure, and that's how we work it out. So we're not looking at the rooms, we're looking at how many physical therapists can be positioned at each bed or chair, etc. So if you see here, I've got a little note where it says 3 single, 2 double, 2 mani, 2 pedi. So that actually works out to 9 stations in total.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. So we have a look at how many therapists you have in total. So this can be your general therapist, and you can add on your team leader or head therapist or your therapist supervisor or whatever you may call her. So if we start with sorry, I think someone wants to come in. There you go.
I've let
So if
them
we
in.
start, thanks. So if we start with 4 therapists and 1 team leader, so we get 5 people that can physically do treatments.
Okay.
Then you want to look at what is your average docket services. So this is a little bit tricky, especially if you don't have a history, if you're a new business. So what we then look at is taking a facial, massage, a pedicure, and another massage. So we add up the treatments together. So Marisa, how much is your 60-minute standard facial?
700. 700.
And a 60-minute massage?
800.
And a pedicure?
350.
And then a 45-minute massage?
600.
Okay. So that we're going to take all of those and then we're going to divide it by the 4 treatments to give you an average docket value of 612 Rand and 50 cents. Sorry
Nice.
for internationals. I'm just going to use Rand because it's easier for me to remember. Okay. And where has my formula disappeared? Sorry. Okay. So I've already pre-populated a formula in here. And sorry, my sheet is very formula driven. But basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the average dockets of the services and I'm working out what the 30% retail is. So then we're looking at for every 612 Rand worth of treatments, we want to sell 180 Rand worth of retail. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So how many clients per therapist per day? So I'm quite interested to hear. So when we're doing a draft financial, we start very low. But if maybe a few of you can just shout out, like on average, when you started your businesses, how many clients did one therapist see per day? Do you even remember?
Or just go into the chat box and put a number there. Even now, how many average clients per therapist per day? Let's hear what everybody has to say, because that will be interesting. And you can average out on the busy days. Okay, so Fran's got 3. Okay. Anybody else? So just average out quiet days versus busy days and give us like what Fran has said. Danae says 5. Okay. Oh, Francisco's got a 900 Rand average docket. Nice. Except you've only got a 10% retail, which we need to get you to. We need to get you to 20. Okay, when I started, I was alone. So around 7 per day, that's lead. Joyce says 4.
That's fantastic.
Alison says 8. Yo, that's a lot, eh? Okay, that's a lot. Great.
Okay, so what I want to show you here is over the months is what your jump can go from. Say, for example, we start with a 3.
Yeah.
Okay, to jump that there. And then you'll see when we go to month 5 to 8, what is going to happen to the turnover. Okay, so let's start with 3 there. So this then means that your turnover per day for the therapist, taking into consideration your average dockets, your number of therapists, and the number of treatments, comes to 11,943. How many days do you trade? Okay, so this obviously will differ a lot. So let's say you're a hotel spa and you opened the whole month. So we'll just put 30 days for argument's sake, because obviously the months differ a little bit. That means your total turnover from month 1 to 4 will come to 358,000. Okay.
On 3 therapists, on 3 clients per therapist per day. Okay, got it.
Okay. So if, for example, let me show you here, it might help. So let's say somebody said 8 clients a day. What's your turnover go from 358 to nearly R1 million?
Wow.
It's a massive, massive jump.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to go back. Okay, so that's when you're going to start your month 1 to 4. You're then going to go to the side of the sheet because we need to now work out your staff. Okay, so this is to work out their salaries that populate the sheet. Okay, so we said we had 4 therapists. I'm going to just put in.
So
Yes,
Anna,
Marisa?
Karen's asking a very good question, but the 5 therapists don't work every day, surely. So yeah.
Yeah, no, good point.
Or we do have 5 rostered therapists per day, 5 people that can generate. 5 people that can generate. So I think, Karen, this has to be populated according to how many people are rostered to work daily.
So you're going to have to work out the averages then. So you need to look at your roster, what their days are, and then work out your average trading days total with 5 therapists, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Otherwise,
So
if we yeah. Okay, Fran is saying then put in the minimum therapist per day, just for forecasting purposes. Okay, Deline says agree with Fran, best to use minimum. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to have to sit and work it out. I can drop it, but I'd rather work it out so it's 100% accurate. So do you want me to drop it to 4?
No, I would leave it at 5. I would leave it at 5 because Fran's saying he can't go with less than 3 to 4 a day, and he has 7 staff. But he can't. Yeah, but that's now, Fran. Come 2 or 3 months' time, you're going to need 6 or 7 therapists minimum per day, right? And then Karen says, or work on an average days per therapist worked. Ours works 23 days. Yeah. So Anna, that sounds like a great idea.
That could be easier to do. Yeah.
I would change the days instead of the number of therapists. Laura used to work out what was and worked out a percentage utilization. And Fran now says, yes, minimum 5. So I would reduce the days. I definitely would. That makes a lot more sense just for numbering purposes. So make it 23 days. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so here we're going to look at your staff complements. So we said you have, it was 4 therapists now, right? Now I've forgotten, sorry. Yes, 4 therapists and 1, sorry, yeah, but 1 team leader.
Team leader, correct.
Okay, so let's say your therapists earn 4,000 Rand basic a month. Okay, and your team leader, you only have 1 of them, but say she's on 7.5. And your operator is, okay, hang on. Operator would mean, for example, the spa consultants. So Marisa, do you have a spa consultant operating a project?
No, not at this point.
Right. Okay, housekeeper. So we're looking at 5,000 Rand. Receptionist, we're just going to start with 1 because we have a manager on site as well. And the manager, we're going to do it 20. Okay, so the reason that I do formulas across here, even though it's 1, 1, 1, and we're unlikely to have 2 managers, is just because if we ever change how many, sorry, I'm pointing with my finger, you can't see. If we ever change the number of staff here, then this column just changes quite easily. Okay, right. So now we've set out how much they cost us. Okay, so we're going to go back to the front. Okay, so if we look at column by column now, here's your revenue, month 1. So your total sales is pulling from here. Can you see? Okay. It is then taking your services from this section here. So it's working out what the 70% was, and the retail sales, remember, is at your 30%. Okay. We then look at inserting a cost of goods. So remember, your cost of goods is how much does it physically cost you in product to actually do the treatment. So we say that you should do between a 12 to 15% cost of goods.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you'd like to put in the chat box as well. Do you know your average cost of services?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Let's have a look and see what everybody's working towards. So let us know what you, okay, so services, 15. Okay, great. Fran, awesome. I know there are some hotel spas that push for a 9 to 10% cost of goods, which is intense. Yeah, Karen, ours runs between 8 to 10% bulk purchases. So that's pretty intense. It's quite difficult to get there, especially when you're dealing with imported products. You almost can't get away from a 15%. And there's some salons that are doing these very advanced treatments with imported products and specialized ampules and things, and they are getting about a 30% cost of goods services. So I think if you can work to 12 to 15, you're running a really good business. Okay.
Okay, your retail sales then at 82,411. Ooh, and something happened to my formula. Sorry. Ah, there it is, Marisa. I couldn't figure out where it was. There you go. Sorry, I was trying to figure out where it had a circular formula. There you go. Anyway, done. Now we found the problem. Okay, so then we're working out a cost of sales for your retail at the 45,000, so 55%.
Okay, how's your cost of goods retail for everybody else? Are you managing to get 55%? Joyce, 10 to 20% of what? Joyce, is that your services cost of goods, right? Okay, and retail cost of goods? What are you mainly getting, everybody out there? I know 55 is quite tight because, you know, if you're dealing with imported product houses, but even the local brands. Okay, so Rob is saying retail cost of goods 50%. Francisco is saying 55 to 58. We're at 55, Karen. Okay, so that's pretty good, hey? And that's very good to see that in the US they're getting a 50%. That's brilliant. Okay. Joyce says products 10% and services 20%. Okay, Joyce, so we need to look at that because it's almost impossible that you've got a cost of goods of product of 10% if you're buying product in and reselling it. That means that your supplier is giving you an 80% discount. Yeah, so we just need to look into that because that doesn't make sense, that. But I can help you check that out. Okay, so let's keep going.
Sorry, when I changed a row, so I added something, I see that I changed a formula. Sorry, you only see when she populates. Hold on a second, I just want to double check.
No problem.
Oh, it's opening on here. Sorry, hold on a second.
No problem. So the nice thing while Anna's busy sorting that out about this sheet is that you can use it to forecast and give yourself, no problem, Fran, will give yourself a good work towards, right? Then the great part of this is at the end of the month, once you've closed off your month, you go back in and you actually populate the actuals next to the forecasts to have a look and see how are you comparing, and that's what helps guide you. So if in that month, like Karen said, it really depends on the spread of treatments you do, because the more massages you do, the better your cost of goods, right? So what's great about that is that every month you can see, okay, well, this month we only got a 6% cost of goods. Let's go and analyze the reason why. When you look at your treatment mix, you can see why. Other months, you might have a higher cost of goods. When you go and you look in why, it's because you ran a drive on a, very advanced aesthetic treatment that carries a higher cost of goods with it. Okay, so that's also great in the analysis part of this sheet is to always look back and say, okay, how did I compare? We've also picked up a lot of mistakes when it comes to retail. We're inputting the pricing on their computer systems hasn't been done correctly. So they land up with a cost of goods of 70%, for example. And then we figure out that, that it's not working out. Okay, Anna, did you manage to get sorted?
Hold on a moment.
No problem.
Sorry, let me start sharing my screen. Sorry, I see what I did. I changed my formula. So I just need to update my formula.
See, this is what happens when you love numbers so much. That's why I don't love numbers so much.
So I actually changed the way it reads at the top, and then I didn't notice that I shifted my entire formula for gross profits.
Okay, we're seeing a very strange part of your screen now, Anna. It's saying want to save your changes, blah, blah.
Oh, it's showing my desktop. Hold on a second. Sorry. Sorry, I've got two screens. Hold
It's okay.
on. So if you want to see this one, yeah.
There we go. Right. Perfect.
Sorry, because the other screen's got a whole lot open.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Great.
Okay, so I'll go back and fix this because it's a bit of a, I've got to fix this formula here. So if that's okay, I'll go back to that when you're talking just now. Okay, so this basically the formula that I'm going to put in is going to show you your gross profits.
So Anna, in this sheet, can I just confirm, nobody fills in white blocks, only the yellow blocks, right? Or the peachy blocks, correct? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Everybody, that's very important. The formulas are set to calculate. You are only going to input, sorry, Anna, they're only going to input in the yellow blocks, not in the white blocks. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Okay, so for gift vouchers, so we've set it for a target of 10% on your total sales. So basically what we do, so if you look at the formula here, is we take the total sales, so that's what we said, the revenue from the therapist, and then we say that on top of that, we want to drive the therapist or front desk to sell vouchers worth 27,000. So it's just to kind of give us an estimate of how we want to push sales. So if you know from history that you sell on average 30 to 50,000 Rand of vouchers a month, or for example, you know on Valentine's Day that that's a really good month and you can sell over 100,000 Rand worth of vouchers, then you're going to override that and populate it with a number that you actually want to put in. But from a just from a forecast point of view, we just work it out at 10%.
Okay, great.
Okay, so facilities. So this would be is if you charge for your spa facilities. So if you've got a sauna and steam room and you charge 500 Rand per person, etc., you would want to then put in a target of how much money you want to drive in for that area. So say for Marisa, let's pretend your spa then has a float, not a flotation, sorry, a spa pool, jacuzzi that's private, and a sauna and a steam room private that you need to charge extra for. And let's say it costs per person 500 Rand. How many people would you like to sell that facility to within your 23 days?
20 minimum. Let's say 20 minimum.
So we're going to do 20 of those. Okay, so we're going to then bring in 10,000 Rand revenue for the facilities. Okay, so if you're a spa that has a gym or a spa that has in a residential area or an apartment complex, etc., then to increase your revenue as well, you can sell memberships. So with the memberships, you can give access to the gym, sauna and steam. Maybe, for example, you've got a sunbed and you put that in as part of the membership, etc. So how many memberships, Rand value? Let's talk about Rand value. How much would you like to sell in memberships? Because they would be more tailor-made for each client.
So I would like to see it at a 10% of revenue. I would push for that as an absolute minimum, because I do very strongly believe that one of the most powerful client retention tools that we have going into the future is memberships, and memberships, loyalty programs, whatever you want to call it, but forces clients to come back to your business to have their services instead of going somewhere else if you pre-sell them a set amount of treatments or packages or whatever.
Okay, great. So we've added in the formula there for you.
Great. Okay.
Okay. So your total cost of sales, here we go. Okay, so we've got to check this gross profit stuff, but your total cost of sales basically is taking in your cost of your services and your cost of your retail to give you that 111,000. So we can already see, look at that. So your revenue was this 274 from your therapist, and we're saying 111,000 of that is actually going to costs. Okay, we now need to take it to drill down your overhead expenses to see what other things we need to pay from our revenue. So for the beginning, advertising, promotions, and marketing. So for this one, if you've got a history, you'll be able to pull this from previous P&Ls. Alternatively, what you would need to do if you don't have a previous P&L is you can go into your, what would you call it, Deline? You could look at, say you want to do it manually. You could look at your statements per supplier or your management accounts and add in what your spend is here. So let's say, for example, we spent on the first month 3,000 Rand. Okay. What I've done in the sheet is I've actually populated it to increase, as you'll see here. So as we increase revenue, it's going to increase monthly allowances for each of these areas. SMS marketing, for those in other countries, your text marketing, if you're still doing that. If you've got a package with a supplier, again, if you're still doing this, we're going to budget in 250 Rand.
Also, I think quite a lot of people buy these bundles for confirmation of treatments. They are still doing that. So you could add that in as a line item.
Definitely. Social media, website photography. So this would be are you paying somebody to do this for you? And if not, then it would be 0 until the month occurs where you need to, for example, redo your website, have a photo shoot, etc. Then you're going to start populating in amounts. So say, for example, in month 1, we want to run a full photo shoot. Let's say for Thumbsuck, it costs us 10,000 Rand. Okay, and that was the quote. This one is now populating across because it's thinking that you are now paying a social media company to actually physically do the work for you. So say, for example, you are not, and then all you will literally do is go across and 0 it all the way across. Okay. And then, so that, for example, that.
Okay.
Stationery and printing. Well, we're hoping that you're all going paperless so that you wouldn't have any stationery printing. But at the end of the day, we realize that you still at this stage need to do some printing, etc. So, for example, now, so say we budget in 5,000 Rand a month. Okay, so here again, it's all automatically populated because you're getting busier. So you've got more clients coming in, turnovers going up, etc. So we are increasing it at later dates. Also, for example, now, let's say month 2 is Valentine's Day, and you're going to sell a lot more vouchers, and you need to do another voucher run that's going to cost you 1,000 Rand for that print. Or you're going to type beautiful bows on it, add some lavender or whatever you're going to do. So let's say you're going to spend a little bit more on that month. So then we're going to up that to 6,000. Then at Christmas, so November, December, let's call it that. So we're just going to up it to 12,000 in November and maybe like 15,000. Oopsie, sorry, 15,000 in December. Okay. So remember, this is a forecast. So to this, you're going to have to apply a budget to actuals, and then you'll start be able to getting more accurate figures to suit your business because it changes. Giveaways, apologies, or thank you treatment. Okay, so here we really just allocate an amount so that if you do need to give away those free treatments, etc., and you're getting a therapist to do that, but obviously she's not earning any commission on it from the clients, at least you've got a bit of a fund to be able to pay for those type of things. Okay,
Okay.
so say we did 2,000 Rand a month. So for that 2,000 Rand, we're just putting across the board. Events. Okay, so say in month 1, we haven't done anything. But in month 2, you now want to do a big splash of cheese and wine, the bubblies, or whatever you fancy. And you've got all your costs in, and you know that's going to cost you 50,000 Rand for that month. Then we're going to put in a 50,000 Rand. Then say now we get to Women's Day in month 9. No, sorry, Women's Day is month 8. And you'd like to have another type of event, and say you put it in at 13,000 Rand budget, and then at least we've allocated some money there.
Okay.
Flowers, magazines, and gifts. Okay, so if you have a subscription, I don't even know if they do that anymore actually, with everything going digital. But before, we've done a lot of subscriptions from magazines where they would deliver a bundle, laminate the covers, etc., and have them scattered throughout the spa. Any gifting that you'd like to do, again, say Mother's Day, and you'd like to give everybody a rose or a chocolate or a glass of champagne or anything like that. Like that type of money needs to come from somewhere, and we need to budget for it. Then flowers, if you've got a display with fresh flowers, and you're changing that every week, we need to be able to allocate the money somewhere.
Okay.
So let's, for argument's sake, we put in 1,600 Rand here, for argument's sake. Okay, then we look at the side. So here you've got marketing, and now we've got some professional services. So if you've got any accounting fees, payroll, auditing fees, or whoever you use, we need to be able to allocate their expense here. So let's say you do 2,000 Rand. Okay, and it goes across the board. Remember, if they are going to have a price increase at any stage, according to a contract that you've signed, remember to have a look at that and adjust your forecast accordingly. Any legal fees to ensure the staff are all up to date. So actually, so for this one, I actually put in 216 Rand. It sounds like a bit of an odd amount. That's because in South Africa, we've got a company that we work with that are really, they cost next to nothing and provide an amazing service for legal issues, etc., at a monthly fee. So that's where I get that amount from. Operator accommodation. So this would be, say, for example, you are Sam Spa at Celia in Botswana, and Marisa and I were operating your spa, and we need to have accommodation. So, but you pay the hotel at, I don't know, 60% of the rate or whatever it is. Then you would need to obviously allocate that amount of money because you need to pay it across to the hotel. Okay, so we don't have an operator, so we're saying 0. Operator fees, this would then be 0. Okay, because that would be a consultant fee. Okay, then we look at payroll. So this payroll information, so remember what we did is we completed the staff month 1 to 4. So it's pulling from here, okay? Okay, so that's where we're getting all of these figures for. Then what's happening here is the next line we're looking at is commission, basically. So on our sheet, I've just kept it straightforward, okay? Because commission structures that we do, or most of you probably do, are way more complicated, and need to be. We just can't go into that in on this topic. So just to keep it straightforward for now, staff commission on services, we base it on 10%, and then retail, we just base it on 10% as well. Okay, you then have a therapist, and then housekeeping, which are obviously pulling from your side as well. Then, if you wanted to add in your owner's return on investment here, this is where you can. Okay, So it's quite nice to be able to see, well, you could always leave it blank at the moment. And then when you get to the bottom and you see what the profit is, if there is a profit at the end of the day, we don't know where it's going to go. If there is a profit, then we can obviously go back and say, okay, this month I can draw 60,000 Rand from the business. But on this month, doesn't look like I'm going to be able to draw more any money. And this month, maybe 15,000. So it gives you kind of an idea if you're running the business where you draw, where the owner draws money from it, how much money you can kind of budget on at that stage. So we can leave this blank for now.
I was going to say, Anna, why don't we put in the
Okay.
number?
What do you
Why
want?
don't we put
Yeah,
in
sure.
50,000?
Okay.
And the reason for that is that when we get to the end, then we can go and show everybody what type of expenses can get cut or what needs to go up revenue-wise to be able to land up at a profit. But let's just put it in there. Okay.
Okay. So you could call this the owner's return on investment or the owner's salary. Okay,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's going to get, depending on how your businesses are set up, you're going to pay PAY on, PAYE on it. So you'll see here when we get to staff related, this section, I don't know if any of you noticed it, all of a sudden populated itself up to this 14, because PAYE in our country, South Africa, is at 11%. Okay. So Delene, I always keep confirming this with Delene. Okay.
So I think the nice thing for the other countries, for international, is basically you will, in whatever your tax bracket is, you can just adjust it there, and then it'll calculate it for you.
Yeah.
Just remember to do.
Yeah. And then obviously the PAYE amount is when you do your actuals is going to differ quite a bit because it depends on which tax brackets the therapists are sitting in, what the commission structure was like, etc. So this really is just an estimate to be able to give you a number to kind of see your bottom line, if that makes sense. Okay, any incentives? Shame, maybe I'll not ask, but any incentives that you want to be able to give your therapist? So, for example, you're running a cash incentive in a month, you would populate it on this line. So we generally don't look at putting incentives into salons and spas at the beginning because they're new, they're excited, they just trained, and the brands are providing them lots of nice incentives as well. If we find they need to be driven a little bit harder, then we look at putting in cash incentives. So right now I'm just saying 0. Okay, so for training, so generally across the board, or let's call it standard brand training, there are no training fees involved. Okay, but if you are going to send your therapist on an aesthetic training, then there are going to be additional fees that are charged for it. So yes, you might not have training every single month, but it's good to be able to put aside money for training. So when it comes to the time where you really feel like you have a therapist that you want to invest in, that you have the funds available to do so. So I'm going to put this one in. I previously put it on my sheet as 5,000 Rand a month, but I'm starting to feel that's a little bit heavy. What do you think, Marisa?
It is. Put it at 2,000 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Uniforms. Again, you're not buying uniforms every single month, but you might need a uniform replaced, new staff member, etc. So after your initial purchase of uniforms, you want to be able to allocate some money every month aside to be able to save. So let's just put in 1,500 there. Any product allocations. So this would be if you wanted to be able to provide your staff with product from a brand at your cost. So this is very, very individually run from from private salon owners. So for example, if you wanted them to be able to have one skincare product a month on the house for such, then that's where you'd add this. So say for example, you wanted to give them a cleanser let's take a cleanser price, and there's 5 of them. So let's say a cleanser costs at a salon price at 220, and there's 5 therapists. You then could say, okay, I'm allocating 200, let's call it 250 then, or oh, it didn't actually do my, sorry, I see it didn't take my, so let's say it's 220 times 5, sorry, thought it was a bit cheap. Okay, so let's say you do 1,500 Rand a month. You're going to invest on buying products for your therapist to use so their skin looks amazing. Okay, right. Team building. Okay, Christmas parties, random team building. Again, it's deciding when you'd like to do this within a year. If you're going to save for it, that's the best way, because these team buildings can get very expensive. Or if you're going to send your staff to a conference or an exhibition, and especially with the salons and spas that are outlying, or if you want to fly them, you want to fly them down to Cape Town, or to America from New York to Las Vegas or whatever it is, you need to be able to afford that. So we're going to say that we're going to save 2,500 Rand a month. So then we have like 30,000 Rand a year to play with. Okay, so your rental, bond or mortgage. Okay, this one we've already filled in your rent at the top here. So let me just probably say 25,000 Rand a month. So we can just work it in there. And we said no loan. So I'm not going to do it. Okay. So then we look at water rates and taxes. Sorry, rates, water, electricity. So we work on a 6% of the service turnover to get your Rand value. Okay. So again, this is going to differ to wherever you are in the world, and if you have electricity. If you've got generators that are running your electricity sources, etc., that also needs to obviously, then I would put it in, slot it in here as well. Okay. So you'll see again as the months go, these are sitting at 0 at the moment, but as we increase the turnover for the next period, this will escalate accordingly as well. Any telephone, mobile, internet connections, still call it ADSL actually. Let's say you're paying 2,000 Rand for this. Any general maintenance on the spa, painting of doors, replacing of nuts and bolts, covering a plug. What else, Marisa? Fixing the light bulbs, like that type of stuff. Yeah. So we actually budget for quite a bit here. So we've been previously budgeted for 5,000, but really because this then gives you a really nice saving of 60,000 over the year period. Especially when it comes down to repainting and all of that, it's very, very costly to do, and 60,000 over a year is actually not a lot of money. Okay, any computer equipment or IT services. So here, if your software programs, if you've got an IT company that supports you, etc., you could put in an amount here. So we've previously put in, worked it out at 2,200 Rand. Sorry, here's your software program at 700 Rand a month. Okay, so remember with the salon software programs, this wouldn't be your initial purchase. This would be your monthly retainer that you pay them for their support.
Fran is saying facilities are very expensive to maintain. So Fran,
so would you go up?
Well, it depends on your particular, but would also not do it for you, Fran? What is what you spending at the moment? Okay, and you can carry on. He'll put it in there at some point.
Okay, insurance. So again, this can be a small amount or really large amounts, depending on what equipment you have and the facilities that you have in the spa. Is it what? Sorry, I'm just reading the group as well. Okay.
No,
So let's
Fran
say
is saying that the expense goes through the hotel, and Danae is saying that her monthly maintenance expenses are around 5,000, general maintenance. Okay.
Okay, cool. So total insurance. Okay, so this you would definitely, obviously, before you open, you'd have a quote on how much everything's going to cost and have an agreed amount. Okay, so again, this is going to completely differ according to each property. Okay, so we'll just put in 4,800 there. And if you then have a car, so a vehicle for the business that you're putting through, and then you would put in here. So let's say we've got no car. Cool. Okay, bank charges. Okay, look, I don't know how it works across the world. So I know that we get hammered with bank charges here. But we definitely try to have more of a set structured fee for bank charges. But obviously, when it comes to your credit cards, if you've got, if you've got Yoco and Stepper and this and that and whatever, you're really going to have to sit and, work out those specific amounts for everything that you have. But we're just going to budget in 1,000 Rand there. Okay, right. So the next thing we look at is the other part. So, oh, sorry, I forgot the slash funds. Actually, think I should move this line item. So slash fund saving is basically any excess money that you've got left over. It's just telling you what it is, and so that you might want to save it somewhere else. So how I actually work, so for the Spa consultants, is we actually set up a different account, so set up a call account. So what I do is actually any additional money, savings, VAT, provisional tax, etc., I like shift that across every week into that account so that I know I can't spend it. So this is also quite a nice thing to do with the slash fund savings, is also to open up a call account, shift it across so you don't by mistake spend it if you're not good managing your money.
This is also, yeah, I think we added this line item in after the COVID shutdown, because most salon owners had said to us they just so wish that they had saved a little bit more money so that they could help their staff and everybody to just survive it better. So if I were you, definitely include this as a line item and put it in as a percentage. Fran says future proofing, put it in at 10% of your revenue.
Sorry. That's right. Yeah, I explained it wrong. Sorry, I just realized.
As 10% of your revenue, and almost force yourself to put that money into a call account where it earns more interest, and you sit it there. So Karen, you're saying, have you got Speedpoint credit card machine charges? So we've got it in as a line item as bank charges, which again should almost be as a percentage of turnover, but it's a bit difficult because not everybody pays. You can't guess how many people are going to pay by credit card. So I don't know if you have that differently in your P&Ls, and if you allocate a certain percentage, interested to hear. But we've got it in as bank charges, so it's for all of that you're talking about. Okay, so Karen is saying it's 2% of turnover, total turnover, hey, services and retail. Yeah, you see, so we've got some spas who are telling us it's 5%, which is quite high. Okay, thanks for that. Great, sounds good. Yeah, so Fran, that's why it is supposed to be 2% of credit card charges, but you don't know how many of those payments are going to come in by credit card, because a lot of salons and spas now are taking payment upfront via EFT. So it's not even a credit card payment now. So this is something that needs to be investigated a little bit better, but perhaps allocating 2%, like Karen is suggesting, is not a bad idea. And then if it's less, great, but at least you've got some form of allocation. Yep. 2% should cover you, Fran, say.
Okay, we'll take it to 2%. Okay, I'll put in the formula a bit later.
Okay, great. Cool.
Okay, then other items, refreshments. So we worked it out at 2.5% of service turnover. Motor vehicles. So obviously you've already covered the insurance part. So this is if you have a motor vehicle. We said no, we do not. Cleaning material. So again, if you find that the percentages are off because they differ per business, let us know. But cleaning material, we worked at 5% of the service turnover on the last projects we've been doing. And laundry expenses, if outsourced, we're looking at 8% of the service turnover. Okay. Any petrol and maintenance? Okay, we don't have a vehicle, so we are okay on that one. Obviously, if you've got a generator, your petrol's going to go. You can actually then obviously put your petrol in, yeah, or your diesel, shall I say. Any machinery and equipment. So this is, Marisa, where you asked about the equipment. So if, for example, right now, and you wanted to, in month 4, you wanted to buy a machine that cost R500,000. So let's say we needed to pay a deposit here for R500,000. Oops, sorry. Okay, and then we're not going to pay here. They said 3 to 4 weeks for delivery. Okay, so let's put the other, and it's 50-50 payment terms. Okay, there you go. So there you've got your R500,000 budgeted in there. So we can see a bit later if we'll be able to afford that.
Okay.
Consumables, tea, coffee, milk, blah, 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 you know, those type of things at 2.5%, and linen as well. We also put it in at 2.5%. So that's any replacement linen that you might need. So again, saving that money because it's really, really expensive. Okay, so I'm just going to put in the credit card machine payment. So on the total, whoops, sorry, total sales. Right. Sure, it's quite high, hey? If you look at it like that.
It's high, yeah. But I think rather factor it in, okay?
No, definitely. Okay, so here we have now a summary of everything. So your total overhead expenses we said was 284,000 rand. So this is where we start to get a little bit stressed out when we start playing with these numbers. Okay, so if we look here, remember we said here, so your total revenue on just your sales. Okay, so they're taking into consideration, we also want to bring in revenue for gift vouchers, facilities, memberships, etc., which is great. That's additional revenue we want to bring in. But if we had to look at just 3 clients a day, with 9 stations and 5 therapists over the 23-day period, and our expenses are 284, so we are then in a bit of a problem. Let's look at the figures here. So operational profit percentage is at a negative. We need to say, okay, so it says we need to save provisional tax. As there's no profits, we don't need to save provisional tax. So does anybody want me to hide the cell so you can see the top section as well?
No, I think it's okay. They can see it
Is
in
it
there.
okay?
No, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, so so remember it was 274, 284 operational profit or loss before your tax. So this is calculated. Let me just kind of show you the calculation so it makes sense to you. So what we're doing is we're taking the sales, we're minusing your cost of sales, and then we're minusing your overhead expenses. And that is then showing you that you are at a loss of 121. Okay. So this looks very scary. So I want to go back to the 8, or maybe let's do 7 clients per day. We went up to the 640,000, right? So now everything else would have been escalated a little bit. So our overhead expenses would have gone up, but the operating profits or loss before tax is now at 24. you're not 3%, minus 3%.
So I think
So it goes.
so the beauty of this document, okay, is that, yeah, exactly what Karen said is where I was going. The owner's not getting the 50K, she says. And then she
That's
also
exactly right.
and she also said that the tax rate moves to 27% at the end of this year. So a whole 1%, we're so looking forward to that. But sort of, there's other things that you would look at. The laundry cost is ridiculous. So if you had the space to put in your own laundry, that's exactly what you would do, because for that amount of money, over 3 months, you've bought a machine, a dryer, all the rest of it, okay? You could also reduce your slush fund savings from 10 to 5% and then increase them after 6 months. So the beauty of doing this is that you can go back and say, right, I'm cutting this. I also think those marketing expenses are quite high. So as a benchmark, I mean, Karen, I don't know what you all work towards, but I say 3 to 5% max marketing per month. So 3 to 5% of your turnover is allocated. So yeah, Karen says yes. So I think if you look at that whole marketing section there, and if you add up all those numbers, I think all of them, hey, the SMS marketing, the social, that whole marketing column there, flowers, gifts, events, that's all marketing. So that entire block to be between 3 and 5% of your total turnover. Otherwise, you got to start cutting. You got to move the photography out, etc. Other things you can look at, because it's not only about cutting the expenses, hey, it's about increasing the turnover, is you could start driving your memberships more, your gift vouchers, your line item of gift vouchers. Instead of targeting 10% in gift vouchers, target 20 or 30% in gift vouchers and go onto online gift voucher sites where you can sell online gift vouchers. There are so many creative ways to take this sheet and get it to make a profit for you. But the starting point is here, where you are starting somewhere and saying, okay, this, Fran says, remember, voucher sales is great income, but not revenue until redeemed. For your hotel spa, yes, Fran, but not for normal day spas. Increased docket value, Fran says, for everyone. This is a long-standing argument him and I have. Okay, so for some of you, you don't pull it as revenue until the treatment is redeemed. Yes, okay. But for others, they see it as the money's in the bank, so it's there. Karen also says, increase the docket value with add-ons. That's the easiest way to get your turnover increased, is by taking that docket value and changing what it looks like. So again, it could mean having a relook at your price list. Is your pricing making sense? Okay. Money is in the bank, but it is great for cash flow. Yes. Okay, Fran, we agree with you. All right, everyone. Is this understandable? Does anybody have any questions? Karen had some info she sent to me, which I'm actually going to follow up with Anna before we might send it out as a newsletter afterwards. Okay, I'll bring it up with Anna later on. Does anybody have any, so Anna's busy changing here. Major expenses of cost of goods and payroll. Yeah, those are the biggest expenses for sure. Fran, for you, rent, rates and taxes is not a big expense. In standalone spas, if they're in the malls and things like that, it can become quite an expense as well. Okay, but generally cost of goods and payroll are the bigger ones, yeah. So Anna, what's happened to our profit after you've cut all those expenses down? Look, now she's getting ruthless with the expenses. So can you see, you go back and you start to change things and you start to say, okay, I'm not spending that much. And already we've got an operating profit. It's not high, okay? It's a 7.8. but it is better than the loss that we were working at before. Okay.
Much better.
Much.
I'll just need to go and finish populating the rest of the months, etc., so that you can see a final one.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, or can we wrap up? Because we've gone like 22 minutes over, but it's been very interesting. Any questions, anybody, or does that make sense? We will get the spreadsheet out to those of you who want it. Please reach out to us. Members, you access it in your module content of your course. And yeah, that's it. And that was, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I feel it was great. Especially when you go out line item by line item. Karen says lots of valuable information. Thank you so much. Well, that's a lovely compliment coming from you, Karen, our accountant in the room.
Thank you very much for your input. It's great. So I like input.
Great. Okay, awesome. It's a pleasure, Gail. Thank you for attending, and Fran for your input as well. And Rob, lovely to have you on from the US. Awesome. Hope to see you again soon. Okay, everyone. Anna, thank you so much for that and for all those.
Thank you.
What do you call that thing? Formula-driven cells that you have. We love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, can we have your checkout word for us, or your goodbye word? How are you feeling after the session? Let us know. Would be awesome. And then we'll say goodbye to everyone. So good evening to those who are at night, and hope you have the most amazing day to those in the US. And good night to Shani in Australia, because she should be asleep, I'm sure, already by now. Okay, so Gail says motivated, Danae says motivated, Tiffany says amazing, thank you so much. Awesome. Okay, good. So I hope everybody is now motivated and inspired to go and have a look and get a grip on your numbers, because that's what today's session was all about, keeping you focused on those numbers. All right. Devon, thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody. Have the most amazing day. Cheers.
Thank you all. Bye.